In their whole careers, detectives have never witnessed anything like this. A documentary on true crimes. We now reveal the horrifying story of Jason Young, an unremarkable man whose sinister secrets resulted in a horrifying and vicious crime that shook the country in the middle of the 2000s. Come explore a complex web of deceit, a romantic triangle, and a haunting prophecy that took 6 years to solve. Watch this space for a true crime narrative that breaks all stereotypes. We're going to examine yet another horrifying situation with you today. This well-known case rocked America in the middle of the 2000s and received extensive media coverage. Before the murderer was ultimately apprehended, the horrifying crime was looked into for several years. The lack of clear motivation and fragmented evidence was one of the primary causes of this delay. And nobody could just not accept that this man was capable of it. It took nearly 6 arduous years of investigation to solve the puzzle. And the trial's investigator freely said that, despite his many years of experience, he had never seen anything similar. There is a location, a love triangle, a double betrayal, and an eerie omen in this tragic story that nobody initially saw. We don't know a lot about Jason Young. Born in 1974, Jason is from the town of Brunswick, North Carolina. He was raised in a regular household and enrolled in the esteemed state university in his home state's capital after completing his high school education, the city of Raleigh, and secured employment as a salesman in a major chain of stores after graduating. Jason Young has shown himself to be a valued and potential worker who is always dependable in the workplace. But he was described by friends as a windy and fickle character. He was erratic and frequently switched ladies in his relationships with people of the other sex, earning him the reputation of a womanizer, of which he was proud. In February 1977, Michelle Marie Young maiden Nam Pfizer was born in New York. The girl grew up with Meredith, her younger sibling, with whom she had a tight bond since early childhood. Their loving mother, Linda, was often seen with her girls, made an effort to encourage them in everything and aid in the growth of their skills and abilities. A stranger spun around uncomfortably and knocked a cocktail glass out of the birthday girl's hands as they were laughing loudly. The man started apologizing right away, and he even bought Michelle another drink to make up for it. That young man was Jason Young, and he was instantly drawn to Michelle because of her attractive appearance. He sat down at her table, struck up a discussion, and joked around a lot. At the end of the night, I made an effort to be clever and captivating and asked her out on a date. Notably, Michelle also found the casual acquaintance endearing. She decided that fate had gifted her a birthday present, so she gladly accepted his invitation. As soon as they started talking, the pair saw how much they had in common. Despite Jason receiving his degree 3 years ahead of him, they both attended the same university. The young people who shared the same hockey team and liked the same music group soon fell in love, but they were never going to live together, much less get married. At the start of his relationship with Michelle, Jason continued to reside at his parents' home in Bradley. He would only meet up with his girlfriend while traveling to the state capital for work or visit her on the weekends. His girlfriend revealed to him that she was expecting a child at one of these sessions. Since neither of them was ready for parenthood just yet, this news came as a huge shock to them both. Young individuals did not yet have plans to start a family. Instead, they were eager to work and confidently move up the job ladder. Jason immediately agreed, but Michelle took some time to decide that she would keep the baby and refused to get an abortion. Jason relocated to Raleigh to be close to his expectant girlfriend after giving the matter some thought for approximately a month. A few more months later, the couple's relationship was formally made legal. However, Michelle's lack of health insurance was a contributing factor rather than love or pregnancy. The couple would not have been able to afford the enormous costs associated with childbirth had they not been married. Spring 2004 saw the birth of the couple Young's daughter. Cassidy Elizabeth was her given name. In addition to helping her with her mother and younger sister, the recently wed mother threw herself into household duties. Michelle's chosen one was coolly accepted by her family, it should be emphasized. Though they attempted to keep their distance from each other, they were leery of Jason. The young family with a child moved into a spacious home in a serene neighborhood of the city the same year. Mother Linda was the first to discover that there was a tight environment in this family when she came to visit her daughter and granddaughter and assist out around the house. Son-in-law was too sensitive to control and could set up a scandal right there. However, Michelle made every effort to put an end to their arguments and appeared to be the happiest mother and wife in public. The only person who could honestly tell about what was happening was Mother Linda. An auspicious omen occurred when Michelle became pregnant once more when Cassidy was just 2 years old. When she carefully informed her husband of the situation, he responded coolly and appeared to be pleased. In short order, to personally inform Jason's parents of their good news, the family drove to Bradley. They were just here for a weekend visit, but on the first day, they celebrated the new family member. Then the following day, dropping off their young daughter with her grandparents for a few hours. To commemorate the occasion together, the pair went to a restaurant. The automobile veered off the road and into a ravine as Jason, the driver, overcorrected and oversteered while the pair was going home. Although the couple had some cuts and bruises and was afraid, their lives were not in danger. But Michelle miscarried due to anxiety, which frightened the young woman a great deal. Jason handled the accident with unusual composure. The death of a child and the spouse's peculiar indifference all seemed quite suspicious. Linda Fisher would subsequently describe that incident as a dire omen, one that went unnoticed at the time. The young couple had known Michelle Money, their mutual acquaintance from their time at the same university, since their college days. They were apart from one another for a while. However, just before the disaster, in the spring of 2006, Jason unintentionally ran into an old acquaintance while on a work trip. He shared it with his spouse. He decided to ask Money to visit him. The young woman gladly accepted the offer, but she started griping about her sad family and issues with her marriage to her husband when she was there. She complimented Jason and told his wife how fortunate she was all the time at the same time. Expectant. In some way, Michelle was not concerned about the guest's actions. While she truly wanted to console and encourage her friend, Young saw what was going on as a call to action. Although Jason had never turned down a flirtation, this friendship swiftly progressed beyond simple camaraderie and consoling. Michelle Manny and Jason Young started secretly meeting together and exchanging phone calls virtually every day. Jason's wife never suspected a thing, since he would always explain his absences with business travel. Michelle told her husband that she was pregnant once more in the summer of 2006, but Jason was not pleased with the news. The wife was unaware of what was going on. She sensed that her beloved had abandoned her. "We thought that the miscarriage that happened a few months ago was the cause of this." Jason had been contemplating for a long time how to dissolve his marriage with the least amount of personal loss. When Michelle was 5 months pregnant in early November, her husband had to travel 300 miles away from home for another business trip in his vehicle. But around halfway through the trip, had reserved a hotel room. That night, a pregnant Michelle spoke with her best friend on the phone for a long time, sharing with her about family issues and noting that she and her husband had a heated argument the night before he left. Following the discussion, she walked upstairs, put her kid to bed, and then dozed off next to her. Jason arrived at the motel at 10 p.m., saying he was exhausted from the drive and went directly to bed. He was examining every doorway, every exit, and every security camera's position, plotting his strategy for leaving the hotel and coming back without being noticed. Jason was working on what he believed to be the ideal crime, an unbeatable alibi. Young made a help request over the phone to his wife's sister early in the morning. He explained that he had sent a page from an internet business to the home fax machine by mistake, and he intended to present his wife a piece of jewelry for their wedding anniversary. He was afraid there wouldn't be a surprise when Michelle saw his gift. Even though Meredith didn't like her son-in-law, she still decided to assist him. Meredith went to her sister's house by way of a hidden garage door that was always unlocked and accessible only to family members. The landlady's documents, keys, and wallet were in the hallway, suggesting that she hadn't left, but the house was strangely quiet. Upon ascending the stairs, Meredith noticed that her sister and niece had not returned her call, despite the bedroom door being ajar. Upon entering the room, she was met with a macabre sight. Michelle lay in a pool of blood on the floor next to the bed, her skull broken. There was blood all over, on the walls, on the furniture, and on the infant. There were footprints on the body. Sadly, no one could save the expectant mother. She had passed away hours earlier. When her sister heard rustling beneath the bed, she quickly ran to ask for help. When she looked underneath, she spotted tiny Cassidy, who gave her an odd expression. Although Cassidy was unharmed, she was terrified. The toys the kid brought to her mother and the marks on the floor both show that she spent many hours by her body after witnessing her mother's death. The fact that nothing was taken from the premises indicates that the nocturnal visitor's objective was singular: murder. In addition, there were no traces of forced entry or damaged locks, suggesting that the murderer had a key or was aware of the secret door, which was again only known to family members. In these situations, the deceased person's husband is usually the primary suspect, even when he has an apparent flawless alibi. He said he arrived at his hotel, did not check out until the next morning, and then left for a prearranged business meeting. Young had used his room key card to enter in the evening and to exit in the morning, according to a check. However, a thorough examination quickly turned up some strangities and contradictions. For instance, an early morning discovery by a hotel staff member revealed that the emergency escape was not only accessible, but also supported by a cobblestone to keep the door from slamming shut. When the inquiry decided to look at the security camera directed at that door in an attempt to identify the perpetrator, it was discovered that on the night of the crime, this very same camera had been purposefully turned off. Furthermore, it ceased recording roughly 30 minutes after Young had his room checked out. There was more craziness to come. It turned out that between the hotel and the crime scene during the night, a man who appeared to be Jason was filling up at a station. However, he was required by law to present identification during the night. He declined to pay with cash and hurriedly went without waiting for change. Jason Young was identified at the inquest by the gas station attendant. However, the man persisted in denying everything, claiming that he had spent the night sleeping in his hotel room. Another oddity was that Young had called Michelle the day before the accident. Money spoke to his mistress 5 more times before dawn, spending barely more than 15 seconds on each call, indicating that Jason was most likely in a panic. Money had spoken to Money over 24 times, and he claimed to have spent the entire night outside the hotel where all of these calls were placed. In addition, he appeared a little lost and arrived late for a planned business meeting with his partners. Manny testified in court as a witness. She admitted that Jason had had an extramarital affair with her, but explained it away by claiming that he had informed everyone he was unhappy in his family life. Furthermore, a different ex-girlfriend of the defendant acknowledged that she was terrified of his irrational outbursts of rage, which could result in him hitting her. Jason Young was eventually convicted of viciously attacking his expectant wife following a protracted trial. He was given a life sentence in prison for this crime, with no chance of release. Jason, who was found guilty, attempted to appeal in 2014, but it was turned down. He requested a review of his case once more in 2018, but the State Court of Appeals panel once more rejected his request. As we come to the end of this chilling true crime narrative, don't forget to subscribe for more compelling tales that defy logic. Keep abreast on the hunt for justice and the deepest secrets. Get a terrifying look into the depths of the human psyche by subscribing today.